Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our special commission meeting, July 29th, 2024. The time is now 4:44. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Kelly,
Present.
Commissioner Williams,
Here.
Mayor Taylor.
Here. As we stand for our invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. God, we thank you for bringing us together one more time in your name. God, we ask that you come into this meeting, that we would do your will for your people. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're going into our public input. And those that are speaking on public input, we ask that you stay remain to the topics at hand. So public input is open.
Mr. Mayor.
Ahead.
So we do have an individual that registered to speak virtually, and I guess IT can confirm whether or not they are online. It's Christopher Bartlett.
All right.
Yes, they are on.
Okay, you have the floor, Christopher Bartlett.
Yes, good afternoon. I have a question. I've been trying to make a complaint against a code enforcement officer since February, and I want to know if maybe there is a proper way to do it. So, because I think that it's kind of being pushed to the side, and I think that it's something that's very important to the community of Opa-locka.
Okay, so Mr. Chris, for public input on these type of meetings, we have to stay germane to the topics at hand. So what we'll do is if you can, I don't know, give your number. You have his number? Okay, we'll give the number to the city manager and we'll have him reach out to you.
All right, thank you.
All right, no problem. Thank you. All right, public input is still open.
Good afternoon. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Brian Dennis, address 2140 York Street. Trying to grasp my head around what I'm reading here in the agenda. And the one thing I want to ask the commissioner is to see how we can save our city from the lawsuits that's taking place and see if we could get those people that want to file lawsuits to actually stop, because we really can't afford it. And the second thing I wanted to bring up is, can we find a way? And I'm hearing a complaint. You know, I chair the Community Relations and Park and Recreation and Activities Board, but those individuals that were let go they really need their jobs, and you have people that have rent and mortgage that need to be paid. We don't want to subject anyone to dire circumstances if we don't have to. If they could go through the process, or due process of being suspended or whatever, however that go, still getting paid until the process is finished with them, then we'll allow them to at least have an opportunity to keep their bills paid until the outcome of the investigation is done. And the other thing that I was concerned about after watching the last meeting, especially with the millage rate and how that is going, how would we fare as a citizens, and how would the citizens of Opa-locka benefit from a 9.3 millage rate? How would they benefit, and how will we be able to hold all our bills, pay all our bills, or will we have to raise the millage rate on those for higher taxes to keep our city afloat? Those are the things that I'm concerned about. I'm looking forward to hearing your answers during the special meeting. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dennis. Public input is still open. All right, public input is closed. Madam Attorney, 6-1.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, setting the proposed budget for the City of Opa-locka, Florida, as required by the state and local agreement of cooperation between the Florida Governor and the City of Opa-locka for fiscal year 2024 to 2025, establishing requirements for the approval of the city budget on or before August 1st, and forwarding to the Governor the proposed annual budget of the city as preliminarily approved by the City Commission for the fiscal year of 2024 to 2025, and directing the city manager to forward a copy of this resolution and approved proposed budget to the governor, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Okay, before we motion, Madam Clerk, you gave us, I'm sorry, Mr. Manager, you gave us a different resolution. So these is going to be, this is a substitute?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All right. Did anything change other than the number?
The resolution in the packet, in the second whereas, there's a blank. And there's several blanks in the resolution. Those blanks were completed with a number, were filled out with a number.
Okay. All right,
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
under, I guess when the manager presents the item, we need to make sure that that second whereas is read into the record so folks can hear it, citizens can hear it. Because that's something we're getting or seeing in terms of the number. So when he does his presentation or whoever, to read that actual whereas into the record so it's documented.
Okay. Okay, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly, second by Commissioner Williams. Mr. Manager?
Thank you. As you know, we have 4 bites at the apple with our budget. This completes the first 2 bites at the apple. We've incorporated all of the requests of the City Commission in this budget. And we also have Mr. Dake Swarte here to answer the questions and read the second whereas into the record.
Madam Attorney, can you go ahead and read the second whereas into the record while Mr. Dake is passing out?
I would need a copy of the
She
resolution.
doesn't
You don't have a copy?
That's
of
why I
it?
said that.
Mr. Day, if you could read the second whereas into the record, please, sir.
I have it, unless he wants to.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
The second whereas is, whereas the city manager of the City of Opa-locka has recommended a proposed budget of funding, revenue, loans, grants, interfund transfers in, and usage of unassigned fund balance. Attached here too is Exhibit A, $85,732,198 and expenditure of $85,732,198 for fiscal year 2024-2025, commencing October 1st, 2024, and ending September 30th, 2025, based on the underlying assumptions for revenue and expenditures estimates contained in the proposed annual budget, documented and included with the budget submission, and as amended, and
Okay, Mr. Dake, you have the floor.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Manager?
we have a brief presentation that Mr. Dake can provide, or we can go straight into a Q&A if that's be the will of the commission.
Any questions for or y'all want to hear the presentation? How do you want to handle it?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
thank you. I'm trying to follow the structure because this is actually on the proposed budget, but going to the governor's office. Number 2 is the one that sets the millage. So we're going to do the details first before we do the actual millage rate.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. So one of them goes to the state governor's office. That would be the budget. And then we set the millage rate that we would also input to the state as well. So
Yeah, but normally, Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner
the
Kelly?
millage should come first, not second. Because what's going to the governor is whatever's going to be based on the millage that the commission passes. You got it listed in reverse. I'm just curious as to why you have
Well,
it.
it is a
This is
preliminary
first.
budget based on the workshop that we had the last couple of days. And the millage is, or the budget is based on the millage that is in the rate. I would probably have to defer.
Our office does not prepare the agenda.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, what was the question?
Commissioner Kelly's questioning the order. The millage rate is usually first and then the budget is to follow.
Well, this is setting the preliminary millage rate. It's not really adopting a millage rate. So I'm not sure if that's the order that needs to take place at this time, but it was not mentioned to me. So I do prepare the agenda, but I'm not the person that puts the items in the system. And this is how it was listed for the regular commission meeting. So no one has stated to me that the order needed to change.
Mr. Mayor?
1 second, Commissioner Kelly.
Okay, we're going to discuss both of them, but normally explain to me, we're going to send to the state. That's, we got that. Anything's going to the state.
Yes, sir.
But we're basing it on, because the commission wanted a 9.165. But that's actually the second resolution because it's actually stated at 9.3, but we know we want to change it. Historically, you set millage and then do your actual budget, whatever, in case commission decided to change. But once you do the budget millage rate, that kind of locks you in. So I'm just curious why it was in reverse order, considering that we did change it. Well, we're proposing to change it to 9.165. To me, that should have been the first one you did and not the second one, but I guess it was submitted in that order. So, yeah, I would prefer to take two instead of one first to make sure we're in agreement on the 9.1 and that everything that the commission wanted or suggested is captured in that before we go passing 9.1 and discover that maybe it should have been different. And I'm saying that because we just got this breakdown and this additional information really today. And so I'm trying to read like everybody else. You just gave us a little brief presentation, which probably is the same thing we got email, but we're still trying to read it. And so that's why I was curious why one was coming before the other. Yeah, that's just my preference, Mayor. But if y'all okay with it, we can go in reverse order.
Mr. Mayor,
Right.
could we get a motion to change the agenda so that the millage rate comes first? I do understand that it's a proposed, but just in case it may have an impact, we would want to be in compliance.
No problem. Madam Attorney?
Do you want me to read this item or
No,
are you moving?
she was trying to,
Weigh in.
Oh,
she was
very
trying to
good.
weigh in. Madam Attorney,
Yes, you're not setting the millage tonight. The way that you have it, I believe is fine. But if, that's the will of commission, that's fine too. But you're not actually setting the millage.
Okay, I'll go along just for the sake of time, but I know what I'm reading, Madam Attorney, and what I'm reading says that we're setting the proposed millage. Now, I know what you're saying is gonna come back, it's gotta go to state, but for the way we do budgeting, once it goes to the state, it's very hard for us to change anything outside of that millage rate. We can change numbers in between, am I correct? But you can't change the millage rate, so that's why I wanted to be first, but you're the attorney, so I defer to you. So we'll take it in the order that you're recommending. So let's just go with 6-1, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Date, go ahead the presentation. Did we want to hear the presentation or do we all want to go straight into Q&A? That was
Go straight into Q&A. You want to?
Straight into
Straight into
Q&A. So
Q&A.
any questions for Mr. Date? So this reflects what we discussed in the last two
That is correct.
budget workshops
Yes, sir.
on Monday and Wednesday of last week.
Correct.
All right.
So you received an addendum
Uh-huh.
packet. Within that addendum packet is everything that you discussed. You also received follow-up answers to questions, specific questions that were made. That was also emailed to you. The presentation I had have this afternoon is really just a overview for the proposed resolution, outlining and defining the expenditures and revenues as the will of the commission based on our workshop.
All right. Do we have
But you are correct. We can change it as we need to and move forward.
All right. Do we have any questions for the budget department at this moment or the manager?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
and I do apologize when you get all this stuff counted the last minute, it's very challenging to go over it. The manager sent us a breakdown via an email as well that I'm trying to find, kind of explaining the things that we'd asked about, but I don't have that in printed form, but I did.
Is that the
see it.
response to the budget workshop question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
That's what, that's this, I think.
yeah, but I don't have that. I've got it in the email, but I don't have it in black and white. So that's what I was trying to find that,
Mr.
in
Chairman,
black and white.
You have another copy in black and white? For Commissioner Kelly's? No, I think you're referring to.
No, I'm referring to the response, because we got that actually before that. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know if something has changed on that the manager sent us versus.
It's the response
Yes,
to the budget workshop question.
I believe Mr.
Commissioner
Anderson
Kelly,
has a
take it
copy.
back. They said you have it.
You say I haven't.
They said you have make it on the other packet.
Well, he just gave me something, but I
It
don't.
looks like this.
Okay. This is what I was looking for. Thank you. Okay, yeah, that's what I was looking for. There's a lot of addendums that's on there and asking us to look at attachments. Yeah, I have one. Thank you. I wanted to try to go through a couple of these that you gave us on the proposed, on the non-department. And I see that you have a get out to vote and you actually upped it to 30,000. I know we had asked about, the mayor had asked about, can we engage in voting just to get out the vote? And the answer was yes. But where do we come up with that to add actually 5,000 more to it? Because now it's 30,000.
So in that line item, not for other advertising, is for us. That line item is utilized for our RFP advertising. So the get out and vote added an additional $5,000 to the total of that line item. Does that make sense? The aggregate now turned into total. So we added $5,000 additional for the get out to vote campaign. The initial $25,000 was for the advertising of our RFPs that we utilize.
Okay. Yeah, because that was my question as well.
Yes,
Why
sir.
was it
See, that's,
Yeah.
but anybody,
Yeah.
anybody that's looking at this budget or looking at this information would know that, because we didn't even know it. It's not segregated. Same thing I told you about some of the other things last week. It's not segregating, or at least parenthesized, to know that there's a difference. All I see is other advertising, get out the vote. So I'm going to assume that's 30,000 get out the vote, which is not. It actually has to do with all of the advertising, and you added 5,000. That's not clear in there. Remember, when folks get the budget, go online and look at the budget, it needs to be clear so it doesn't come across as a misconception that you have money to do something or more money to do something with than you actually have. The other thing that I want to bring up is down in the codes section. And again, I'm trying to look at both of these sheets at the same time. The additional code officer, is that the one for CRA, or is that the one for the manager reference last week that requires from Public Works? Which code officer is that, position is that?
So for this particular budget, we added from last year to this year, we added 2 additional code officers. One is denoted as a CRA officer, and the other one is a regular code enforcement officer that we would like to work on weekends and evening hours. So that's why you're actually seeing 2 additional code officers from prior years.
Well, this says an additional code officer. It doesn't say 2. I'm looking at the addendum.
Right. So
proposed.
I apologize. Yes, you are correct. The initial budget, the initial proposed budget given to you included the CRA officer in there. Then we added one more after the workshop. So that would be a total of 2 additional. So one was already included, but then I made it more definitive that it was a CRA one. And then after the workshop this weekend, we added one more to it.
Okay, so the secondary question is, you said a code officer for weekends. So this is not the one that the manager is proposing for Public Works because of the
No, sir.
requirements?
No, sir. That is a stormwater officer for the MS4. That is out of the stormwater budget. This is a general fund position, if you will. And so this is in addition to that stormwater compliance officer.
Well, you got to remember, all this is lumped into one budget. It's not segregated out into water and sewer, storm water. So I got to ask all the same question because it's not just general fund. It's for the whole citywide budget, right? So I
Right.
got to ask that question. So this is separate from that. So that's not being funded.
No, sir. That is being funded as well. That
But
is
it's
a
being
mandate
funded
that
through
we,
stormwater.
through stormwater. Yes, that is in
Okay.
there.
So then the new officer uniform, the vehicle for the officer, and printer for the new vehicles, is that the new code officer or is that the CRA officer?
That is a new code officer that we, the commission and the city manager, we came up with during the workshop. So our first go around included the CRA officer. Then we added one more. So everything that you're seeing, the vehicle, the uniforms, the computer, that is because of that additional code
The
officer.
night and weekend officer that you.
Yes, sir. The night and weekend, if I can define it as such, yes, the night and weekend officer.
And all of our, so all of our officers will have all of our officers currently have the same equipment,
Yes, sir.
all those.
Yes,
things.
sir. Yep.
Okay,
There,
All right.
there is an additional, startup because they get a jacket. They don't get jackets every year. So there's a little bit of an additional budget for them for a new officer versus somebody who's already been hired
Okay.
on an annual basis.
okay. And the one in the stormwater is listed out the same way in terms of equipment, vehicle and all of that?
Yes, that is correct. They get a vehicle, they get everything as well.
But it's being funded through stormwater.
It is being funded through stormwater.
Okay, and again, this is the one for the specific public works.
That is correct.
Okay, what I
Stormwater.
didn't see, and maybe you got it lumped in again, is the training for that particular officer, because obviously it's detailed training because of what we're asking them to do. So where's that training because it's specialized, or do you have it lumped in with the general training of staff?
So that training is included in the stormwater operating fund. I'm getting to the page, if you will. Just bear with me another moment.
And while you're doing that, Mr. Manager, I know we talked about he brought it up, the code enforcement coming from, for the, what's that department?
CRA?
Not CRA, the other one,
Storm.
stormwater. No, specifically for, what was the department? Public Works. Did we ever see if it was feasible to actually cross-train a public works worker?
Yes, that's what we're looking into.
That's
which
what
is
we're
why you
looking
don't-
into.
Yes,
Okay,
Well, if you're cross-training, the way he just described it,
yeah, that's why I
it's
asked.
a whole
It's
person
additional-
totally new. It's not a cross-training. Because you're cross-training, that's why I'm asking about the training, because a cross-training would not be the same as, somebody coming in straight off, who knows nothing about our city or what have you. And this person, yeah, okay, I'll wait on the answer.
it's Mr. Mayor, it's the intention of the administration to have the MS4 contractor conduct their training on the job training to accompany whoever selected for that training and position.
From the pool of employees you already have.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
So on page in your budget book, on page 206. Actually, 207. There's a line item for educational costs, specifically MS4 and stormwater inspector, in the amount of $2,000. A lot of this can be done online.
wait, In the
What
budget,
page?
no, I don't think that's right.
What page you on?
What page are you on?
204 in the budget book, potentially.
You said 206,
204?
207.
You just said
You gave us
206 and 207.
Three different numbers, I'm sorry. So 204.
Yeah, there we go, 204.
204. It's 204. And you're looking at, where are we?
Educational costs is about right in the middle. So MS4 and stormwater inspector.
Okay, so that's that person.
Yes, sir.
Got it.
Commissioner Kelly, I apologize for this page number. Did you find it? Right
So
above
that,
vehicle.
that training for that, MS4 inspector, the $2,000, the manager said he's gonna get a contractor to do the training, but it still goes back to the original question. Is this person gonna be cross-trained or a totally new person? Because the manager's saying his intent via to the mayor was to cross-train employees or whoever he would determine in public works. The
No.
way it's looking here is though it's gonna be a total new person. So I'm just trying to figure which one is it gonna be.
So through the mayor to Commissioner Kelly, the portion that you're looking at will be new skills. The individual will be coming from the Public Works Department, so they will not need to get new training on how to be a Public Works employee. They'll already have that training. This budget line item is just to prepare them for the additional services so that they will then be quote unquote cross-trained to do their current job and these new services as well.
Okay, and since you're going to have a, Mr. Mayor, since you're gonna have a contractor to do it, is the 2,000, I mean, because there's gonna be one person. I'm always concerned when only one person knows something and nobody else does. I would ask that you all consider when you're looking at this, hopefully cross-training two people, so you don't have one. Again, I don't know what the training entails. You just said most of it's online. I don't know.
That is my understanding.
I believe he's referring to the certification and not actually the skill set.
Oh, yeah.
But that is definitely something we can look into.
Okay, all right. Okay. So it's separated out. Mr. Mayor, you can go ahead while I'm
All right.
gathering other thoughts. Now. I'm gonna take up the whole time. Y'all can ask questions. Y'all may have to ask. I'm trying to look at this real quick.
So on the slide up here,
Hold on,
is-
Mr. Dick.
oh,
Commissioner
my
Williams.
apologies. I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Mr. Dick, we're going to do Q and A.
Yeah, I got it. You're right.
I
You're
love
right.
your
Yeah.
presentation.
Oh, no, I just, real quick, not a lot of questions, but it was under the Parks and Rec. I know we had a lot of discourse about what to keep in, what to pull out, what to stay, what was gonna. It seems like this is, really low. Like I thought we had a lot more things that we were going to reduce. Unless did we decide not to, or I don't know. I thought we were reducing more, items.
No, it was,
that-
it wasn't a reduction, it was a shifting.
Oh,
Cause we shifted from one line item to another. In part, specifically to special events.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes.
it was shifted, nothing was taken out.
And then we also added the
No, no, no,
Arabian
no,
Nights.
not taken out. I meant some of the items were reduced. Like, for example, like Conga Loco was reduced, or
Yeah, Congo Locals. was
Halloween.
reduced. Halloween was reduced. The state of the city was reduced, and it was something,
and that was it.
no,
I thought it was others.
oh yeah, you remember.
I thought there were more others.
No, so those were the only ones that were reduced, and then those funds were added to other special events. So like the mayor said, it was,
So there was
Just a
no
movement.
reduction anywhere in special events.
I'm sorry, there was no,
Reduction.
no,
Decrease
and on
in
the
any
contrary, there
event?
was an addition. We
Increase.
went from
You went up.
$143,000 to $305,000.
Well, not necessarily, because Arabian Nights was already budgeted. Correct?
No, ma'am.
No,
No?
Well,
Yeah,
initially it was
From
250.
2 years ago, yes,
It was
it
250,
was.
y'all took it out and then you added it
And
back.
then we
It
added
was
it back,
budgeted.
Yes.
yeah.
So it was budgeted.
Well, if you take, I think what he's trying to say is that if you even take the Arabian Nights out, we did increase not only the number of events, but also the total budget amount for just
is-
those events, with the even considering taking out Arabian Nights.
correct.
So you're
Correct.
looking at like a
But
So
$7,000.
gun buyback was one of the additional events that was added to it for $5,000. The new commissioner inauguration was added for $2,500.
The
So-
mayor, the
And then there
luncheon-
was some additional, we added money for the Christmas toys and we added money for the mayor's business luncheon.
No, we
so-
shifted money.
Yeah, we shifted, correct.
Yeah.
Good terminology. Thank you, sir.
no, I think originally, but I know I was one voice, is I was saying that there should be a decrease across the board on all events, but I guess that didn't happen. I mean, I know there was some shifts somewhere. I get it. There was like $1,000 shifts here and there, but there was no, like, I feel like we spent so much time on this particular just for absolutely nothing to happen.
Well, through the mayor to Commissioner Williams, yes, we did take your advice made under consideration. However, we didn't want to penalize one member of the dais over the other. So we tried to maintain restrictions equal across the board, which was a challenge at the same time when some of the events are also additional events are being added. So it was not as though our target goal was to reduce the special events budget down to 120. So you are correct. We were not successful with that, but it wasn't because for lack of effort. We did propose something. We did present something that showed cuts, as you may recall in the previous workshop, equally with each member of the dais.
Well, to go back what you were saying, I don't think it was so much showing like one over the other. What my proposal was is everything had some trim, not like major,
Yes.
but everything, so that to me, it would have shown uniformity across the dais, not just, but of course, I mean, it also makes sense when you're talking about, shifts. If you have one event that, that's your event and you propose money go there, but also, I'm sorry, I bit my tongue. Sorry. If we're adding events, I thought that had to come to the commission for approval.
Well, in the budgeting process, we can add them now. And once you approve the budget, I do believe you're approving that event if you approve the budget as it's stated.
Okay.
And we did highlight, I do believe you did highlight all the
Yeah.
new events that were added, correct?
No,
Correct. Well, not on the budget.
No,
I
there
didn't
was-
do that on
okay,
the budget.
go back.
Yep.
There was no event added, Commissioner Williams. The gun buyback program was passed via resolution. And also the commission, the new commission inauguration, so the swearing in. So I guess because it's under special events, so it should have went with its department. So
Yeah, I think that's
so if you put the swearing in should have went to the clerk's office, the gun buyback
should have
program
went to
should have
police. Yeah, so
And
it's
then that
it's
way
showing up
it should-
here, and now I'm like, I don't recall seeing
Yeah.
some of these things
that's what-
We
here.
can make that adjustment moving forward for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not difficult to do. And to answer your initial question, yes, we did trim a lot of events. It's just that you probably see the numbers so many times and, and then 4th of July, we couldn't trim because we needed additional funding. And so that kind of takes away some of the trim. We added to the 4th of July because fireworks are $25,000. And, we initially had $25,000 or even $20,000 budgeted, and we found out we couldn't do it for that. So, when you add one area and you take away from the other, it kind of just evens out and it doesn't look like it's a large adjustment.
I'll say this, Commissioner Williams, and I'll use Mr. Dake and Mr. Manager's term. We do have 2 more bites at this apple.
We do.
So in the interim, we can work to, if your goal is to decrease the events budget completely, we can work towards that. So when we can come to the actual budget hearing,
Yes.
if you
No,
to that,
yeah.
okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
I'm going to make.
sorry, okay, Commissioner.
I'm going to make a general statement for the sake of time. I know this goes to the state because we have a mandate of August 1st. I'm fully aware that whatever we pass is the millage rate and set, and those are the numbers which we'll do in the second resolution. So then the only thing we could do is what the mayor's suggesting, and I want to be very clear on. We can move inward, but we can't change anything in essence. I mean, well, you could change, but that's not something you want to do. You want to work within the parameters of numbers. So I'm going to support this only for that reason, because I'm really thinking about not supporting it, just let the state blow it up. Because I got responses, but I have questions internally as to the structure of some of these items and the non-answers that I got, that I'm not satisfied. And of course, PSAs dropped right off the top of the list because I asked a breakdown for the funding, because it's been budgeted, what you do with that money, because you didn't hire 4 PSAs. There's some other line items. I asked about Parks and Rec. You're adding basically 4 more people. And I don't see the need for that. I see an explanation or whatever, but I don't see that now as to be put in the budget. Now, one of the things I tried to do, because we're, challenged, we need to save money. And that's one of the reasons why I was willing to say, take away the trailing park, take away the Feeding South Florida. The commission can bring it back later if they choose, to try to offset some of the challenges, because I felt strongly about Arabian Nights. But when I look at this inside of here, I was told at the last meeting we had that the 75,000 for vehicles for undercover cops, because got to rotate out. I asked for an analysis of that, because that to me was still too much. When I got this back, it actually says 6 detectives and somebody that, the Treasury reimburses, which gives me even more of a headache, because we got 6 detectives, and then I saw that we got 8 sergeants, but we ain't got 20-some regular officers. So I have real challenges with the way this is breaking down inside, and some of the answers to be, coming to us or have been finalized. But for the sake of getting the budget to the state for them to approve the hour parameters, I'm going to support it because I'm really challenged to just not support it at all and just let it go to, till I get those answers. But I don't want to put that pressure on my colleagues. So I'm going to support it tonight to get it going through the process, because the state has to have it by August 1st. But as the manager and the mayor mentioned in their commentary about the 2 bites, those net 2 bites are going to be big bites from my perspective. So I want to let you know that in advance. So I'm ready to vote, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. And before we call the question, Mr. Manager, I will suggest, because I have a lot of questions as well, that once we send it to the state, we in the interim, we have one-on-one meetings with your office as in the budget team to actually go through this and sit down, and we can actually go through it. Because clearly there's a disconnect somewhere. So
We'd be happy
that's
to do
just
that,
my
Mr. Mayor.
okay, that's just my suggestion. All right, Madam Clerk, we can go ahead and call the question.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
All right, Madam Attorney, 6-2.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, setting the proposed millage rate of 9.3500 mils for computation of ad valorem taxes for the City of Opa-locka, Florida, as required by law for the budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025, establishing the date, time, and place for the first hearing to consider the proposed millage rate and proposed budget for fiscal year of 2024-2025, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
All right, can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Madam Clerk?
just for the record, there's also a substitute resolution for this item. And the millage rate is 9.1630 mils.
All right, so then let's start over. Madam Attorney, let's read the substitute item into the record, and then we'll make a motion and vote on, call the question on that.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, setting the proposed millage rate of 9.1630 mils for computation of ad valorem taxes for the City of Opa-locka, Florida, as required by law for the budget for fiscal year 2024-2025, establishing the date, time, and place for the first hearing to consider the proposed millage rate and proposed budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams. Second by Commissioner Kelly. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is the millage rate that was selected, given some options by the commission from my office and the budget team. And I would like to do a Q&A if we can keep Mr. Dake contained. But if it be the will of commission, he's prepared for a presentation.
It's only, the presentation is only on one
That
page.
is two pages, 2 pages.
Don't trust
Two
it,
pages.
Mayor.
I was
Don't
about to say, I
trust
don't
it,
trust
Mr.
it
Mayor.
either. I don't trust it. Mr. Dakers, you can take. So any questions, to Mr. Dake as it relates to the millage rate?
So just as a reminder, this will take 4 votes to pass come September.
Yeah, in September, but not
In
tonight. Yeah,
September,
we know.
correct, not
We
tonight.
will, we
Yep,
will.
yep.
All right, so any questions? for
No,
Mr.
Mr.
Dake?
Mayor, I just want to be very clear that this 9.1630 mills is based on the second whereas of 85,732,198, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we can go ahead and call the question, Madam Clerk.
Before we do that,
One
we
second,
also
Madam
have
Clerk.
to state the date and time of the meeting in September 10th. It just has to be on the record.
Okay,
The public hearing is September 10th.
so the public hearing is scheduled for Tuesday, September 10th, 2024 at 6 p.m. It will take place in the Commission Chambers, 3rd floor, 780 Fisherman Street, Opa-locka, Florida, 33054.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
motion passes 3-0.
I just realized that too. How did y'all come up with that date?
I believe that was the dates that, did we present those dates to the office? Mr. Anderson?
I mean, I just realized that too. It is a,
Good evening, Bob Anderson, Financial Support Services. Normally, we do it the Wednesday in advance of the first commission meeting. One of the, I think it's the school board or the county commission has a budget hearing scheduled for the 11th. So we had to change a different date. So we put it one day before.
so the two, okay.
Yeah.
All right, y'all are, we're good? All right. He know we got Bible study on Tuesday. He don't want nobody, I'm assuming. Cause Holy Temple got Bible study, New Beginning got Bible study. Madam Attorney, 663.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, exercising inquiry and investigation authority pursuant to sections 2.5 and 4.2 of the City of Opa-locka's charter, requiring the city manager to provide written findings, reports, and produce policies and procedures and other relevant information pertaining to accidents relating to city vehicles and personal vehicles, providing procedures for notification to the City Commission of major crimes, providing investigation of matters handled by the city's police department, providing inquiry related to a 2024 bonus structure passed by the City Commission but not yet implemented, providing inquiry for notification procedure to the City Commission after an employee is terminated, providing inquiry as to facts and circumstances surrounding 3 or more fired city park employees, providing for a completion date for inquiry and investigation, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Kelly,
Second.
second by Commissioner Williams. Oh,
Mr. Mayor, while you getting
the
your thoughts,
commission- it's because the mission item.
yeah, no, it's Commissioner item. One of the things while you were gathering your thoughts, because I know you had announced to do this, to the attorney, I guess, really. We had suggested initially with something on the first meeting in September, but since we're exercising our inquiry authority, what's the timeline or date that we have to give for it to come back? Because it's going to take time by itself, not just something to be done a little bit before a regular meeting. So do we need to set a separate date for this to come back, and the manager to provide the findings and all of the information as requested?
Are you talking about having a second hearing on this item?
No, not a second hearing, for all the information to come back to us for the inquiry.
Mr. Mayor,
I think he's asking for the date that when the manager will respond to the.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
so there is a section 2, and also the last whereas in the resolution that has a blank for the city commission to discuss that time frame for when the responses should be should come back before the commission.
So the clerk is saying that, you're saying that we set the time frame.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Williams?
my question is, and I understand that, having the legislation for the inquiry because, we had a lot of questions. However, there's so many whereases and a lot of these particular questions weren't asked by all members. So like there's some things here that I might not like, I don't care to know. Is this something that if depending on the member, and I'm not sure who I'm directing this to, maybe Madam Attorney, depending on the member that acts the inquiry, would they then receive the information? Or is this like the commission will receive it and will the receipt of the information be in some type of like report or how is this
Are you talking about like in each whereas?
correct?
Each,
Correct. don't
I
know,
believe all of this information is supposed to be reported to the commission, like each commissioner would
but like a
receive it.
written report, is that what this, Joanna? I don't know if you can, is this like a written report or is this like a, we're gonna get the answers in like a public meeting? What's the intent, if you can help me?
So yes, also that same whereas where you're to select a date for the information to come back, it says all answers, report, investigation, and findings shall be provided to the city commission no later than, and then you have to insert a date there.
Well, I think what I'm
But-
asking is, but how are the findings? Are they verbal or are they, because I don't see that. So like, would this be like in a report that we read? Or is this like a, one-on-one meetings, depending on if we,
I think that how are we getting the information? So how's
yes,
the
I don't
manager
see
going to
that
give the information.
information.
It says,
If the resolution itself, I'm sorry.
go
If
ahead.
the resolution itself is not stating the exact form that the information is to come to you, then you could seek to amend it to include that if you prefer a specific thing, or it can just be a case by case basis where the manager will provide either a meeting or a written report, depending on what the nature of the information is.
Through
Mr.
the
Mayor.
mayor.
Oh,
oh,
I'm
One-
sorry.
1 second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, Commissioner Williams.
Commissioner Williams,
Um,
you done?
mhm.
All right.
That is actually in there. The resolution does state.
It's so much, I don't even.
Yes, if you look at section 2 of the resolution, through the mayor to Commissioner Williams, says the city commission further desires that the city manager provide written findings, reports, and produce policies and procedures.
That's in a whereas somewhere?
That's actually in the section 2 after
Oh.
the whereases, on
Oh,
the
okay.
next,
You said, Mr. Manager, you said section,
Section.
oh,
two.
section.
Section 2.
Okay.
Oh,
got
I
it,
see,
got
okay.
it. I
Yes.
see it.
Yes,
Okay, I
ma'am.
see it now.
All right, I see
Okay.
it.
Thank
Alright.
you.
No problem. Commissioner Kelly?
No, I was just gonna point that out. I just wanna, and I think to the point, it's kind of laid out. I just was concerned about the date of when we're going to actually receive the information as a body, and then go from there.
All right, so that's something that we would need to discuss and insert. That's what the clerk is. That's what you're asking right now. Oh, you're shaking your head, Madam Attorney. Okay, so we would need to discuss a date of when we want the information.
Well, as I indicated, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to be on a date. Number one, hopefully, when everybody can be here, but also number two,
But you want it in a meeting form, that's what you're saying?
kind of meeting form,
In a
not an
meeting form.
individual or not in, just giving it to us in a meeting form, because that's really, when you talk about inquiry, and investigations opportunity, not only for the manager to provide it, but for us to hear it in a public setting and to, address whatever our concerns or based on what he gives us, dealing with that information. And so I know we're not scheduled to meet in August, as a regular commission, but I would hope we would meet about this before we get into September and the budget or whatever. So I
Alright.
think some of those things could have, impact as well.
All right, and Madam Clerk, the manager's office, we haven't scheduled the meeting for the benefits, right?
We're looking at the last Monday in August, which I
The-
believe is Monday, August 22nd.
What?
Last Monday, August, no, that's the 26th.
26, my apologies.
Commissioner Williams will be in school, so.
Oh, we said no meetings in August. What happened to that
Then
legislation?
we still have to do one meeting to do the
Okay.
benefits. So
I guess if it's,
I propose that we're gonna do this, then
Yeah.
do it on the
Oh, yeah.
same day. So it's just one and done.
That's one for the insurance.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's the last Monday in,
The last
in
Monday,
August.
that's August 26th.
Okay, let's just make it, give Commissioner Williams a little time, at least don't make it earlier than 6:30.
6 is fine.
Because the only item we're really gonna have is insurance, which is not normally a long item,
No,
and
it's
then
just a
this
vote.
is here, so
Yeah.
6:30.
6,
No,
I
she
can do
said 6 is
6.
fine.
6 fine?
Yeah,
Six is
I
fine.
can
Okay.
do 6.
All right, so Madam Attorney, the consensus of the commission is to do August 26th at 6 p.m. All right. And any other information you need from us, Madam Clerk, before we call the
We gotta
question?
go on the insurance and this.
Commissioner Kelly's requested that. Oh, you know, I have no fight on, I'm saying the
I'm
same
sure there's
thing.
gonna be some new items.
No,
and
no,
stuff.
no.
We had
No.
we had some items that were on this one that were being moved to the benefits. But they're all items that you've seen before, I believe, with the exception of one.
Yeah, but can they wait till the first commission meeting in September, which is,
We'll review that. We will review
okay.
that.
All right.
My question real quick, Mr. Manager, are any of those items ARPA related? Okay, that's it.
Yeah, so they can wait.
Okay.
All right, so Madam Attorney, the 26th, August 26th at 6 p.m.
Yes.
Okay, all right, Madam Clerk, any other questions or concerns on this item?
So we don't want to do with the completion date for the inquiry, we'll deal with that at that time?
What do you mean?
The completion date, I mean, we'll deal with everything at that time in August 26th meeting, correct?
Yeah, he has from
Okay.
now until August 26th.
Okay.
Yeah, August 26th meeting is when he will present
Okay.
all of the
All right.
findings. All right, Madam Clerk,
Mr. Mayor, just so there are no surprises, there are 2 second reading ordinances that are time sensitive that will also be on the agenda for August 26th.
Which are,
which are,
I'll let through the manager, Mr. Gay can come up.
I believe those are the Armory,
Mm-mm.
the Live Local Act. Well, we can postpone that again.
no, we're supposed to have a workshop for that,
yeah.
so
Yes.
we're not,
workshop for that.
no, we're not having a workshop, it ain't coming.
Yes, absolutely not. Yeah.
And what's the other one?
It was the Armory.
Why is that time sensitive?
Something about their submissions. I have to have.
But it's
Mr.
it's our law, so why is that?
Is that the
We're
one?
ready, we're good.
Yeah, no, that's our laws, yeah.
Comprehensive plan according to Mr. Gay.
There's 2.
The comp plan.
The comp plan, why is that time sensitive?
Mr. Gay, could you take the podium, please?
That it can't wait 2 weeks later?
Gregory Gay. The comp plan has a deadline date based on the data that it was initially submitted to the state. It has to be done by September, I believe, 18th. And we want to make sure that we have adequate time to have it presented before you in order to send it forward to the state for their final approval.
Mr. Mayor, when do we meet?
The,
I think your next meeting
regular
is on the
meeting,
11th.
The 11th, yeah.
11?
Yes.
Okay, I'm leery of that
I am.
comp
too.
plan, in a special meeting, because I don't want to get overwhelmed with the inquiry and the insurance. So to me, we'll meet on the 11th. Hopefully y'all got everything in place. If you need to meet with us in advance, one-on-one, you can do that, so it makes it a lot smoother. But I'm not for putting that on a special
Yeah,
agenda.
I would like to lock that agenda as well.
Yeah, I want a lot of stuff on that agenda.
Madam Clerk,
Mr. Mayor, so we're not doing the comp plan and we're not doing the Armory item. Is
you
that
can
correct?
come on the 11th. The
Put them
11th,
put them in September?
September 11th.
Okay.
All right. So we're good. Madam Clerk,
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes,
Mayor Taylor.
yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
All right. Thank you all for coming. Can I get a motion to
Move it,
adjourn?
move it.
Moved by
Second.
Commissioner Kelly, second by Commissioner Williams. This meeting is adjourned.
Can you get